The rain hammered against the roof of Marcus Chen's farmhouse like angry fists. Lightning split the dark sky, illuminating his modest property on the edge of human territory. He had been preparing for bed when the desperate pounding on his door began. Through the storm, he saw a figure collapsed on his porch, a woman with pale blue skin and silver hair, clutching a small child. Her clothes were torn, her breathing labored. The child, no more than 8 years old, had the same ethereal features, but his eyes glowed with an inner. "Light, please," she whispered in accented but clear English. "My son, they hunt him. I will work for you, clean your home, tend your animals. Anything you ask, just let us stay." Marcus had heard rumors of the Valerian refugees fleeing persecution. Their kind possessed abilities that made other species fearful. He looked at the trembling woman and her frightened child. "What's your name?" he asked gently, helping them inside. "I am Zena. This is Kiro." She gestured to her son, who remained silent but watchful. "He has a gift that others see as dangerous, but he would never hurt anyone." As if to prove her point, Kiro noticed Marcus's old dog lying stiff by the fireplace. The animal had been dying for weeks. Without a word, the boy approached and placed his small hands on the dog's fur. A warm golden light emanated from his palms. Marcus watched in amazement as his faithful companion stirred, then stood, completely healed. The dog's cloudy eyes were clear again, his labored breathing steady and strong. "He heals," Zena explained, tears in her violet eyes. "Any living thing he touches becomes whole again. But the Galactic Council fears this power. They say it disrupts the natural order." The storm raged outside, but inside the farmhouse, Marcus felt a strange calm. He looked at this desperate mother who would sacrifice everything for her child's safety, and at the boy who had just given his beloved pet a new lease on life. "You can stay," he said finally. "But if anyone comes looking, you're my hired help. Nothing more." Zena collapsed to her knees in gratitude, pressing her forehead to the floor. "I will serve you faithfully. I swear it on my ancestors' honor." That night, Zena and Kiro slept in the guest room. Marcus stood by his window watching the storm slowly pass. He had no idea that his simple act of kindness would change not just his life, but the fate of 2 species forever. The growing bond 3 weeks had passed since Zena and Kiro arrived. True to her word, Zena worked tirelessly from dawn to dusk. She cleaned the house until it sparkled, cooked meals that made Marcus's mouth water, and tended to the animals with surprising skill. Marcus found himself looking forward to their conversations during the evening meals. Zena spoke of her homeworld, of crystal cities and floating gardens. In return, he told her about Earth's seasons, about the satisfaction of growing things from seed to harvest. On Valeria, everything grew wild and free, she said one evening, her eyes distant. But there's something beautiful about the way humans shape the land with such care. Kiro had transformed Marcus's struggling farm. Wherever the boy walked, plants flourished. Dying crops straightened and bore fruit. Even the soil itself seemed richer, more fertile. But the child rarely spoke, communicating mostly through gestures and his expressive, luminous eyes. One morning, Marcus found Zena in the barn, her hands gentle on his injured mare's leg. The horse had stepped in a hole and been limping for days. "May I?" she asked, gesturing toward Kiro, who stood quietly nearby. Marcus nodded, and the boy approached. As his small hands touched the mare's injured leg, that familiar golden glow appeared. The horse whinnied softly, then stood firm on all 4 legs, completely healed. "Thank you," Marcus said, his voice rough with emotion. "Both of you." Zena smiled, and something passed between them, a moment of understanding that had nothing to do with species or worlds. Marcus found his heart racing as he looked into her violet eyes. That evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Zena moved closer to him on the wooden bench. "Marcus," she said softly, "I must tell you something. Every day I stay here, I put you in greater danger." "The hunters will not stop looking, then. We'll face whatever comes," he replied, surprising himself with his conviction. Together, Zena's breath caught. Slowly, tentatively, she reached for his hand. Their fingers intertwined, her cool skin warming under his touch. For a moment, the vast differences between their species melted away, leaving only two souls finding comfort in each other. "You are a good man," she whispered. "Better than my own people deserve." Marcus squeezed her hand gently. "You've both brought life back to this place. I haven't felt this alive in years." Their faces were inches apart now, both leaning closer when suddenly Kiro appeared in the doorway, his expression urgent. He pointed toward the sky where distant lights moved in unnatural patterns. "They've found us," Senna whispered, her face pale with terror. "The hunters are here." The sleek black ships descended from the night sky like metallic vultures. Marcus quickly ushered Xena and Kiro into the hidden cellar he'd prepared beneath the kitchen floor. Covering the entrance with a heavy rug, "Stay quiet no matter what you hear," he whispered urgently. The front door exploded inward. Armed figures in dark armor stormed into his home, their weapons trained on him. Their leader removed his helmet, revealing angular features and cold, silver eyes. "I am Captain Vex of the Galactic Enforcement Division," he announced. "We're tracking dangerous fugitives." A Valerian female and her offspring? Marcus kept his expression neutral, despite his racing heart. "Haven't seen any aliens around here, except for the usual trade ships. Vex's." Eyes narrowed as he surveyed the immaculately clean house. The abundance of fresh food, signs of more than one person living there. "You live alone, human?" "That's right. Always have." "Then explain the fresh bread, the extra bedding, the children's clothing we found upstairs." Vex stepped closer, his presence intimidating. "We know the anomaly child was here. His energy signature is all over this place." Marcus shrugged. "Maybe your sensors are broken. Happens a lot with human-made electronics." One of the hunters entered from the barn. "Sir, the livestock shows signs of accelerated healing. Some appear to have been near death recently, but are now perfectly healthy." Vex's expression darkened. "Last chance, farmer. Where are they?" "I told you, I don't know what you're talking about." The captain raised his weapon. "Search every inch of this place. Tear it apart if you have to." As the hunters began ransacking his home, Marcus prayed Xena and Kiro would remain hidden. He could hear furniture being overturned, walls being scanned, floors being torn up. Hours passed. Finally, Vex approached him again. "They were here, but they've moved on." "You helped them escape, didn't you?" "I help a lot of travelers. It's called hospitality." Vex struck him across the face with the back of his hand. "You have no idea what that child is capable of. In the wrong hands, his abilities could resurrect entire armies, start plagues, upset the balance of life and death across the galaxy." "Sounds to me like you're afraid of a little boy," Marcus replied, tasting blood. "That little boy is a weapon of mass destruction," Vex snarled. "And when we find him, we'll make sure his power serves the right cause." As dawn broke, the hunters finally departed, warning Marcus that they would return. He waited until their ships were distant specks before opening the cellar. Xena emerged first, her eyes wide with fear and gratitude. She threw herself into Marcus's arms, both of them trembling with relief and something deeper. "You could have died," she whispered against his chest. "Worth it," he murmured. Holding her close, their lips met in a desperate, passionate kiss that spoke of shared danger and growing love. When they broke apart, both were breathless, but their moment was shattered when Kiro emerged from the cellar, pointing frantically outside. Through the window, they could see Vex's ship returning, having circled back to catch them. The daring rescue Vex's hunters surrounded the farmhouse before Marcus could react. This time they had thermal scanners that easily detected the heat signatures in the cellar. Within minutes, they had dragged Xena and Kiro into the yard. So touching, Vex sneered. Watching Marcus struggle against the restraints holding him, the human develops feelings for his pet alien. Xena's eyes blazed with fury. "If you hurt my son, I will tear you apart with my bare hands." "I'm counting on you trying," Vex replied. He gestured to his men. "Take the boy to the ship. Prepare him for transport to the research facility." "No." Marcus shouted, fighting harder against his captors. He's just a child. He's a resource, Vex corrected. One that will serve the Galactic Council's interests perfectly. As they dragged Kiro away, the boy's frightened cries echoed across the farm. Xena broke free from her guards with surprising strength, but more hunters quickly overwhelmed her. You have no idea what you're dealing with, she hissed at Vex. I wasn't always a refugee mother. Enlighten me, Vex replied, mix-rated, her demeanor shifting completely. I was Commander Xena of the Valerian Defense Corps, veteran of 12 campaigns. I've killed more of your kind than you can imagine. For the first time, Vex looked uncertain. Impossible. Our intelligence said you were a civilian. Your intelligence was wrong. Her voice was ice cold now. I retired when Kiro was born, chose peace over war. But you've just made the worst mistake of your life that night. After the hunters had secured Kiro aboard their ship and departed, Marcus and Xena sat in the ruins of his home planning. She had revealed her military past, her tactical expertise, her knowledge of hunter ship layouts. We can't do this alone, Marcus said. But I know people who might help. He contacted neighboring farmers, people who had come to respect him over the years. Word spread quickly through the human community about the alien child, who had been healing their crops and animals in secret. That boy saved my daughter's horse, one farmer said grimly. We owe him. Saved my entire wheat harvest, added another. Count me in. By midnight, 24 humans had gathered, armed with hunting rifles and determination. Xena studied their faces in the lamplight. You would risk everything for a child who isn't even your species, she asked, wondering lie. Marcus stepped beside her, his hand finding hers. That's what humans do. We protect the innocent no matter where they come from. Xena's eyes filled with tears. In that moment, surrounded by these brave farmers willing to risk their lives for her son, she felt something she thought she'd lost forever: hope. Then let's bring my boy home, she said fiercely. As they prepared for the assault on the hunter ship, Marcus pulled Xena aside. Under the starlight, he cupped her face in his hands. Whatever happens tonight, he whispered. I want you to know that I love you, and I love you, she replied, her voice breaking. Both you and your beautiful, stubborn, heroic species. Their kiss was deep and desperate, filled with the passion of two souls who had found each other across the vastness of space and the possibility that they might lose each other before dawn. The hunter ship sat like a black wound against the pre-dawn sky. Marcus and his fellow farmers moved through the tall grass surrounding the landing site, while Xena used her military training to guide them into position. Remember, she whispered through their units, Kiro will be in the detention area, midship. I'll create a distraction while you extract him. What about you? Marcus asked urgently. I'll be right behind you, she promised, though they both knew the odds. The attack came at first light. The farmers opened fire on the ship's external defenses, while Xena scaled the hull with deadly grace. She had shed her servant's clothes for makeshift armor, and Marcus glimpsed the warrior she had once been. Inside the ship, chaos erupted. Vex's hunters, caught off guard by the coordinated human assault, scrambled to respond. Xena moved through their ranks like a force of nature, her combat skills returning as if she'd never stopped fighting. Marcus and 3 other farmers breached the detention area. They found Kiro in an energy cage, electrodes attached to his small body as the hunters tried to study his abilities. Papa Marcus, the boy cried out, speaking for the first time since his arrival. The word hit Marcus like a physical blow. This child, who barely knew him, had claimed him as family. With tears in his eyes, Marcus shattered the cage and gathered Kiro into his arms. We're getting you out of here. Son, he whispered. But Vex had cornered them in the ship's corridor, his weapon aimed at Kiro. You cannot comprehend what you're interfering with, he snarled. This child's power could reshape the galaxy. Maybe, Marcus replied, shielding Kiro with his body. But it's his choice how to use it. Choice. Vex laughed bitterly. He's a weapon, not a person. Xena appeared behind Vex like an avenging angel. He's my son, she said simply, before striking the captain down as they escaped the ship. Kiro suddenly broke away from Marcus and ran to the wounded hunters lying in the grass. Before anyone could stop him, he began healing their injuries, his golden light restoring their broken bodies. "Kiro, no," Zena called out. "They'll just hurt you again." But the boy continued his work, healing friend and enemy alike. When he finished, he looked up at the stunned hunters with his luminous eyes. "No more hurt," he said in his soft voice. "No more fear." Captain Vex, his own wounds healed by the child he tried to capture, stared in amazement. "I don't understand," he whispered. "Why would you heal us after what we did to you?" Kiro smiled, the expression transforming his young face. "Because Mama taught me to choose love." In that moment, something shifted. The hunters looked at this alien child who had shown them more mercy than they deserved, and then at the human farmers who had risked everything to protect him. Months later, Marcus's farm had become something unprecedented, a sanctuary where humans and aliens worked side by side. Refugees from across the galaxy came seeking shelter. Drawn by stories of the healing child and the farmer who protected him, Zena stood in their rebuilt kitchen. No longer a servant, but Marcus's partner in every sense. They had married in a ceremony that blended human and Valerian traditions, with Kiro proudly serving as ring-bearer. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked one evening as they watched Kiro playing with human and alien children alike in the yard. Marcus wrapped his arms around his wife, his family, his future, choosing love over fear. Never. In the distance, ships from many worlds descended peacefully onto their land, carrying beings who had heard the impossible tale of a human farmer who proved that kindness could bridge any divide. Kiro ran to them, his laughter bright as starlight, his healing hands ready to mend whatever was broken. And Marcus knew that this was just the beginning of something beautiful, a testament to the power of human compassion to transform the universe itself.